Welcome back to the League of Legends Pacific Championship Series, and I am your host plus play-by-play today, Clement Chu. With me is always our lovely and seldom guest in the color position, Rayra Chu. We both end with Chus, but of absolutely no relation. And I do want to mention, this is actually one of my favorite positions. You get to ramble as a play-by-play. I'm super happy to be there. But before we go into the meat and potatoes of today, a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors at Riot Games, Carry Live, Garena for making this all possible, and of course, CTBC for being the top financial institution in Taiwan and also giving us a great team like CFO. So welcome to the PCS Radio Chu. It's been a while. How you been doing and what are you looking forward to?
I mean, yeah, it's been a while. I think I was last on the broadcast week 1, day number 2, so it's been a whole like 2 weeks since I was here. I'm not sure if we're allowed to, bring up the other Riot game that I was involved in for the last few weeks, but I had a fun time in Copenhagen for M2. But I'm super happy to be back for some League of Legends, especially PCS. I mean, I was watching the games while I was away, of course, and like we had such an exciting end of the first round robin. We saw like a whole bunch of upsets in the last few weeks, like DWT team winning versus DCG, for example, on Sunday. And yeah, just some super exciting stuff happening all around. Every single team so far with at least 1 win. And yeah, here are the previous results from yesterday. Pretty much most games I think went as expected. The DCG versus J team game, maybe people were expecting, J team to have a better performance. I think yesterday's performance was a bit lackluster. They did go on their socials to like make kind of like an apology post saying that like they didn't perform up to standard. We'll go more into that later on. But yeah, what do you think of yesterday's games, Clement?
I felt like yesterday we had the triumph of the Velios. He won every single game he played, and DWT team was surprisingly close against PSG. I was very, very much shocked about that, and they're playing in our first game today as well. They stole a Baron against Bury, and they actually killed Unified multiple times in the beginning of the team fight. So yesterday's matches, despite not looking so on paper, are actually a lot closer than they actually is. Yeah, we are going to be taking a look.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
right
looking
here.
forward
Big
and
thing to note, PSG, of course, still on top of the ladder, and we have a whole heap of teams at the 7-win and 6-win type of range. Your top 5 are still absolutely the same from the last split, but hopefully there will be some shakeups. And just as you were mentioning, at the bottom of the table, everyone gets a win. You get a win, they get a win. At least everyone is on the board. And Rayra Chu, are you there? I'm just gonna continue with this one. So,
can you hear me?
Oh, you're back. There.
I'm having echo, so I hear twice. So I was trying to fix it, and then I heard nothing. So
okay. I was a little bit worried I lost you right there, but welcome back. And I still don't hear Rayra Chu right now. Okay, but seems like, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a little bit of technical difficulties going on, so I will be just talking through everything today. We have a whole set of 5 matches. The biggest one probably is going to be PSG Talon and Deep Cross Gaming, our 3rd match of the day. That one definitely closest in the standings, but a couple of big ones still on the way regardless. Impunity Esports still yet to find a win after those Korean imports have landed. I thought they were going to be a lot stronger, but so far, not really finding that secret sauce to gel together, while Mega Bang Beyond Gaming has continued to surge. And then, of course, we are going to start up with the DWT team versus Frank Esports matchup. This one, I think, is actually a lot closer than it is on paper. Of course, DWT team, you look at their standings, they've only got 1 win on the board, but to be honest, their performance against top teams have actually been more competitive than Frank Esports. Frank Esports so far has not won a game against PSG or the JT Universe, while DWT team has actually beaten DCG and was very close yesterday against PSG. So I think times really are changing. I actually do feel like DWT team are finally getting WSL on board. They're finally going to get their mid laner on board, and there's a lot to look forward to. And there we go. Welcome back. Okay, maybe I still need to go on talking a little bit. I'm not sure if Rayrachu heard me or if
Is the volume on right now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Good.
I did. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can. Yeah, so I'm not sure if Rayrachu heard what my rambling before with today's matchups, but I was basically just setting the stage for FAK Esports and Duish Team, and talking about how Duish Team has actually been very competitive against some of our top teams. So far FAK Esports hasn't beaten anyone in the J Team universe. Well, Duish Team's actually taken down DCG, so might be a little bit closer. How do you view this matchup?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So I think that, as you said just now, Duish Team, they're coming off of their win versus DCG just on Sunday a few days ago. Previously, like the entire first 2.5 weeks of PCS, they've lost every single matchup. So I'm not sure if we really view this as a fluke performance versus DCG, but as you mentioned, from their last 2 games, it does look like they're kind of on an uptick in terms of performance. It hasn't necessarily translated into those match wins, except versus DCG. So I think today we're going to get a better idea of whether or not they're improving in terms of performance, because they go up against FAK Esports, who's currently tied 5th in the standings. Right now, FAK Esports are at a 6-4. That's the record so far in the PCS. So I think the Jewish team versus FAK matchup looks like it could be a lot more even than what we can just tell from looking at the standings.
And we're going to go over the rosters real quick. Today they do have to substitute in the support position. Rebirth will be taking his 2nd attempt at the PCS, trying to find a win right there. Previously played 1 game of a Mumu, but no success just yet. And for the rest of your roster, YSKM looking as handsome as ever, Holo, Pretender in the mid jungle, and of course Eminem in the AD carry position. Now, what do you expect out of a Rebirth coming in here? This is kind of an interesting substitute, and just trying to see where FAK Esports are going to go in this 2nd round robin. They've been very adamant on sticking to YSKM earlier, but do you think there are maybe some other developments here?
I think so. Rebirth is a bit more of a wild card this time around. I don't really think we've seen much of him play this split, but historically, I think what he used to play on his champion pool is more in terms of like engage supports. So I think the fact that FAK Esports are trying to run Rebirth right now on what I think most people will agree is like team fight meta. The patch right now favors those like big team fights, I think, is why they're deciding to go with Rebirth instead. His champion pool might be a bit more suited to this patch, but we'll see, because we don't really have a lot to go on from this summer. But as you mentioned, also I think YSKM is going to be really huge for the team. Of course, he's top of the MVP standings out of literally everyone in the PCS. I think FAK Esports are going to have to try and play through him if they want to play a good game. But meanwhile, we have the squad of Duish Team on our screens. There's Lacuna, WSL, Xiao2, Bang2, as well as Enho.
And
go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to say I've been really impressed with Duish Team's bottom lane actually picking up the slack and going even in the past couple of games. But of course, we have to talk about the top lane matchup. This is one where everyone has their eyes glued to the screen. We all know YSKM just got a 1v3 yesterday against Sen9, and everyone's looking towards that caliber of performance.
Yeah, he's absolutely insane over on the top side. Like we were saying, he is top in terms of a number of MVPs that he's gotten so far in the 4 weeks of the PCS. I believe 2nd in standings right now is Gory, because of Gory's Azir. And I mean, YSKM has beaten that. He's beaten Gory's Azir to the top of the MVP standings, if that gives everyone any idea of how cracked this dude is over in the top side. Also, his champion pool is a bit more diverse than most of the other PCS top laners. Most of the other PCS top laners are happy to play stuff like Sejuani, like Gnar, like Gwen, but YSKM is the one who is always there to whip out the cool champs that we haven't seen in a while. So I'm pretty excited for our first ban pick phase of the day. Already we've got the Sylas, Callista, Kalista, the Renata, and Lucian is a bit interesting coming out in the first round of picks and bans, but it does seem like a very standard 12-12 beat going on, Clement.
I wonder if the DWT team is actually going to take out the Zeri here, because it does seem like Frank Esports are very adamant on just, okay, we're not going to play a super fast early game. We're going to put all of the regular champions, the more late game champions on the table, and you are going to have to outplay us with those champions. And, we do actually have both the Zeri and the Aphelios left open right here. DWT team opting for a trade. This is very interesting because I feel like Zeri still has a lot more upside. She just snowballs far better in this meta, and even with Aphelios getting all those wins yesterday, Zeri is still the true monster on 12.12. So kind of surprised that left through.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think what DWT team is doing is they deliberately left up the Jerry, and they're going to go for a bunch of champions that kind of counter Jerry. Like Gangplank is pretty good because you drop the big ultimate, it has that sort of like AoE slowing effect. I think the Trundle is also open if they do want to go for stuff like that, and like these types of champions where you can really cut down Jerry's ability to kind of zoom around during those team fights are really going to help shut her down. So we'll see what they go for. Yeah, so they're going to go for the Poppy because both Poppy and Trundle are open. That pretty much means that Frank Esports will likely pick up the Trundle instead. Maybe the Viego, but I don't really want to see Hello pick that for Frank Esports, but it is open.
We are seeing the supports being considered right here. Yumi has been very successful, as we have seen in the past with Zeri. It's just, if you pick something like a Swain or something, you have a bunch of fighters, it's really easy to just go in on the composition. And again, we don't know much about Rebirth Champion, so it could be in the cards. A very early Aurelia actually being selected here.
Wow.
This is pretty much only from YSKM. I don't think you're going to see this draft from any team.
I mean, I love this for him. I love this for Frank Esports. I love this for YSKM. I just love the energy that they bring to the table every single time. They're gonna just put all their eggs into the YSKM basket. Aurelia, of course, is one of those champs. If she doesn't get a hit, she's gonna be really useless towards the mid as well as the late game. She really needs to like win lane, get her first item, get going. So that's gonna be interesting. But they do lock in the Jerry and Yumi, of course, with the Renata first ban. They're not allowing DWT team to go for the Aphelios Renata, so Aphelios kind of falls a bit lower in terms of prio, and yeah, it's gonna be Samira lock-in for DWT team. So pretty strong team fight, pretty strong engage that they've drafted. The only things that are really missing from DWT team are their carries. So that's gonna be a bit of an issue as we enter into the second ban phase.
I like how both of these teams have now drafted, in your words, the champions that kind of do or die. The Aurelia needs to get ahead or she falls behind, and then you have the Samira. It's kind of the same case. This is the champion that DWT team has found their only win on so far. So super high potential. We saw the great use to block out ultimates just with the W coming in from Samira. A lot of things you can do with that one, especially against a champion like the final chapter coming in from Yumi. You can actually block out that ultimate. If you can block the third wave, then you actually just cancel out the stuns, the roots coming in. So very interesting to see the interaction. Meanwhile, Frank Esports is going to take away the Mumu, very popular engaged support in the bottom side here. And for DWT team, they are just hammering home the bans onto Pretender, taking away the Azir and also keeping away the Syndra here. Very interesting set of bans coming up.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Target ban versus Pretender. Of course, we hype up YSKM all the time for the squad of Frank Esports, but we can't forget that Pretender has also been a pretty solid mid laner this entire year, pretty much, for the squad. Syndra, of course, isn't quite as high priority as she maybe might have used to be a bunch of months ago, so it's definitely the target ban versus Pretender. We haven't really seen Syndra played all that much, except for yesterday. for Mission over on CFO, but that was only because IMP 5 banned mid lane and then forced Mission onto Syndra. But we don't commonly see the Syndra ban in the current meta. Looks like DWT team will be picking up the Alistar. So again, going for a very strong team fight. And oh, Morgana for Rebirth, really?
I don't think so. Because Yumi can't go anywhere else, right? So even if it was Morgana, I probably would go mid. It's super rare to see a champion like that one.
I mean, it does have good synergy with Irelia. You know, you throw the black shield on her, she goes in to engage for a team fight. But I don't think that's what they want to do. Talia would make a lot more sense, and also the Trundles. You're talking about the traditional Poppy versus Trundle over on 12-12 right now. Talia, in my opinion, is one of the strongest roaming mid laners right now. I know it's been all about the roaming mid laner patch for the last couple of weeks, but we've really kind of seen champions such as Tia, such as Galio, kind of fall more out of favor in favor for Talia, who's pretty strong right now. So they're going to lock that one in. And wait a minute, that can't be. No way. No way. They're just playing with us right now.
WSL has played these sort of champions. Was I a fan of the performances? Not really, but well, we have an elite jungle. There we go.
I'm super confused. I don't know if DWT team are just falling back on comfort picks this time around, because I don't really see where their damage is going to come from for this game. I mean, we've been talking about their team fight. They've got so much engage. They've got disengage as well with Poppy. But I mean, they decided to go for the flex Poppy instead. They're going to hand it over to Lacune over on the top side and go for the Elise jungle instead. It would be interesting because I think Elise might have the potential to try and punish the Trundle a bit early on. The reason why we're seeing a lot of Trundle versus Poppy is that a lot of teams have figured out that if you want to pick an early game skirmishing type of jungle that can, you know, make stuff happen at level 3, at level 4, Poppy as well as Trundle are pretty good options, and then they're also good for the team fights into mid game, which is why we're seeing a lot of them being picked up. I think Elise is an interesting kind of response to that, where they're also trying to for sure use her to snowball the early game. It's just looking at the rest of the lanes for a DWT team, I'm not sure what other lane they're trying to snowball, so we'll see.
I mean, Elise is of course going jungle, but then you look at the 3 carry lanes. You've got a Poppy, a Gangplank, and a Samira. And you know, the last time we saw the lock-in, the Samira seems like it's going mid, which is, we've seen this in the past, but I don't think we've seen it in competitive, which is very interesting. I can't wait to see if they're actually going to be swapping the players around, or are they actually just swapping these positions around, which is, both would be super interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is the PCS, so we don't just see a lot of flex champions. We see a lot of flex players going to different roles. I mean, you've got IMP.
Like Ashin.
Yeah, exactly. So you're never too sure which lane to go to until the game actually starts. So we'll have to, you know, wait till the game starts to get the confirmation for that. But what do we think of FAK Esports composition? I mean, I definitely, looking at those squads, right? I thought that FAK Esports were going a bit wild out there with the Irelia top lane, but when you look at all the 10 champs together, they've definitely got the more standard draft. Plus, they've got the Irelia versus Poppy matchup, which I think is going to allow YSKM a bigger opportunity than if DWT team had decided to pick something more standard instead. So for me personally, I think FAK Esports won this draft, but we'll have to see.
Okay, so we do have the confirmation that Xiaotu did at the last minute swap back, so you have I would say a little bit more standard, a Gangplank mid. Lacune is going to be taking the Poppy into the top lane versus the Irelia, and of course Elise is jungle. Just starting off the game, we've got a bit of a level 1 scouting party here by DWT team, already setting up for the blue buff. In the meantime, FAK Esports Pretender here trying to get a counter ward into the top side as well. So both of these top laners should be playing with jungle attention, and in the meantime, double leashes happening on the map, so Equalize starts to push here. And yeah, just, you know, I think now we finally have our lanes. We can kind of go a little bit deeper and just kind of talk about what the win conditions are for these two teams, because I don't think either of these compositions are completely standard, at least not for the PCS.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Frank Esports versus Jewish team. Both squads are kind of the teams that are always willing to pull out some fucky stuff here and there. We're seeing a bit of early aggression going on over in the top side. YSTM, the way you kind of have to play this Irelia, you want to play well versus the Poppy Shield. You also need to be able to kind of go in and out of your minion wave. The positioning is going to be really important. Pretender versus Xiaotu over in mid, taking a bit of chunk damage actually for both of them. Pretender this time around also has Ghost. He's running the Ghost and Flash for that extra move speed to roam into the side lanes. And ooh, really early invade from WSL.
Spotted though, they should be absolutely fine here from this one. But I do want to mention
they're
this
not backing.
matchup is it's pretty much the best combo if you want to kill a Zeri Yumi. Yumi can't get off the target and block skill shots because Alistar's just gonna block everyone, and Holo has found WSL in the jungle. Gonna force a flash out right off the bat with that red buff, and YSKM also going in on Lakunai, excuse me, seeing that the junglers are both through the bottom side, gets that chance to 1v1, and does get blocked by the Steadfast Presence. Good fingers from Lakunai, and so far just a small lead for YSKM.
Yeah, Lacune also has just one more charge of the potion right there, so should still be able to sustain the lane, no problem. There's Hollow just going for the drive-by over in mid. Gets spotted out also by the ward. Does clear it, so Xiaotu won't really know if Hollow's going to stick around a bit more. And okay, he's gonna just hit the scrying. I don't really think he wants to have anything to do with WSL, even though he did see him. He's gonna have towards top. Is this the play? There's the pillar. Yeah, he's just gonna back out. I don't really think they have a lot of dive potential right here, pre-6 with the Irelia, especially when it's comboed with the Trundle, because the pillar and the ground is really only going to give that bit of added slow. It's not as helpful to dive the Poppy. So he's just going to be a bit of a nuisance. Back off, head back to base. Meanwhile, I think for Frank Esports, there are a couple of pings on the minimap. They're trying to figure out where the Elise was. I think they're also trying to figure out how far that they can safely push over on the bottom side.
Yeah, looking at this matchup right here, Enhao just went in for a very haphazard trade. Gets a lot of damage taken on the backside of that, but what I'm really waiting for is that Elise gank into the bottom. We all know that Elise is great with these bottom lane ganks. She has a ton of burst damage, and with the Alistar, it's almost guaranteed crowd control on Zeri. The problem just is Elise also has a huge timer. That's why we don't see Elise at all in the meta. She's pretty much a game bot and falls off incredibly hard early. So
and plus, the way that DWT team played that just now, I think they really showed all their cards too early. They had WSL go for that very dangerous invade where she was forced to burn Flash. So the fact is that Frank Esports know that Elise doesn't have her Flash Cocoon available until the Flash is back up. So it's definitely a very costly mistake. Usually, teams know that once Elise hits that level 3, level 4, that's when she's really going to hit one of the side lanes for the gank. But because she was forced to use Flash earlier, DWT don't really have that timing available for them for another minute and a half or so. So that was a bit of a liability for them earlier on. Lacune right now just gonna dot all the I's, drop the ward over into the river. Both top laners haven't quite hit level 6 yet, although YSKM is going for... did start with the shield, so went a bit defensive over at the start, and it's a bit of a sneaky position right here. 3v1 on Pretender.
Xiaotu actually messes up the barrel chain. He's not going to get another chance at that one, but Pretender gets faked out, and in comes the cannon barrage. Can Holo make it here in time? The pillar goes down, blocking Xiaotu and WSL, but Lakunai is here, does not find the wall bang, and out goes Pretender. It's actually kind of a cool sequence from Xiaotu. I think he was trying to fake Pretender out for him to go forward, but unfortunately Holo was around the area, and the Talia survives.
Yeah, so it's a bit of time wasted over on the side of Jewish team. They are going to try to convert this into the first dragon, though, since they did pull 3 numbers over towards the mid side. Should be able to get this one, no problem. I think that Amendum and Rebirth don't really want to try and contest this, especially versus the comp that Jewish team is running. They've got the Alistar also. You don't really want to fight versus that in the dragon pit. So they will be able to pick it up. Did take a bit of time. It was slow. They got there in the end, but they are going to pick up the first dragon. And meanwhile, just taking a look at the gold lead is actually almost dead even. Just 100 gold going over in favor to Frank Esports. Oh,
Yeah, it was a very good trade right there. Catching YSKM in the middle of the plate surge. Rebirth going in by himself, baiting out the full combo. Zeri's completely fine, and in comes Holo. This might be a flash from Enhout. Gets that flash down immediately to run away, and ooh, that's not exactly how DWT team wanted to run this composition. There was a lot of bot lane focus right here, but so far it's not paid off.
Yeah, and they're also taking a whole bunch of poke from the Union Qs. Of course, those are a bit hard to dodge, but WSL was waiting around the side the entire time, just waiting to find an opportunity to use the blasting cone to make it over the wall towards bot. But he kind of realized that they were already losing the 3v2 and it wouldn't have been any point for him to blast cone over, and that's why he didn't. So no one died. Like, we're still at 0-0 on the kill score right now, but things starting to... well, both sides are kind of making mistakes, so I don't really think we're really seeing this game go in favor of anyone just yet, but WSL once again,
that could change. WSL does have his flash, but he's gonna have to spend it again.
Not again! Yo! We were just saying that his earlier invade, where he went too deep into Frank Esports jungle, costed them so much early game pressure.
Once more, double knockup onto Holo and the Yumi. Can they burst Rebirth down? Welcome back to the PCS. Rebirth gets taken down for first blood, and that is going to move directly into a Herald take. So maybe WSL had everything calculated.
Burn the flash, bait them into the counter engage, and then get first blood. Sheesh. But I mean, props to Jewish team, you know, they're playing the objective game pretty well, even if the ganks aren't quite working out for them. So Elise, you know, they picked her for that early game pressure. They tried to go for the gank over at mid, that didn't work out, but then they were able to convert that into first dragon. They tried to go for another gank over by the river, that again didn't work out over here at mid, but they were able to convert this into the Herald. So at least they're picking up the objectives here and there, which is pretty good for him.
We'll see where this Herald does go down. Actually, you know, before that, I felt like Jewish team's strategy was a little bit falling apart. They really need some sort of a snowball on the least and Bane 2. Like, if this game goes even, it's definitely going wrong for Jewish team. Now they're going to find Enhow without the flash here, but he hits level 6 and should be fine with the ultimate. So we see Holo backing off here. Now WSL going for the top lane gank. Let's see if he can find the cocoon. Meets him right around the corner. YSKM is going to fall very low from this one. And the stun comes over the wall for the kill. Great spider senses coming from WSL to catch out that heroic.
Yeah, and that's exactly the type of gank that we've been expecting for the entire of the first 10 minutes of this game. Props to Jewish team, they finally managed to figure that one out and make that happen with the Poppy as well as the Elise combo. So they don't quite have, I think, a good lane to really drop Shelly down. We're going to take a look at the replay on that. So very good pink ward that they had in the bush to really set up for this gank. They were able to catch out YSKM when he was pathing over towards the top via the jungle. So very smart of them to have the vision down. As you can see around the minimap, that ward is actually still there. It hasn't been cleared out. So it will be helpful to them in the future as well for the added bit of vision. So, well done to Jewish team.
Yeah, I think that was exactly what we wanted to see, some punish of YSKM, and just looking at this gold lead, I've got to say it's very rare that we see Jewish team with a gold lead, but it's been happening more and more, especially in the second round. It used to be about negative 5,000 gold at 15, but in the recent...
Yikes.
You know, in the second round robin, they've actually gone positive, which is why I'm so... impressed about this team. I'm not sure what they worked on, but their early games look so much better. it leads to a lot better mid-games as well. We might get a 3v3 on our hands here.
Oh,
Going in for Xiaotu, forcing out the flash. Let's see if Ola and how can find and engage. Nobody still on position as we move into the Cloud Dragon hustle here. Vision so far does go over to Jewish team. And let's see how everyone is going to move in for this. Frank Esports, they do have that scaling advantage. They're not super pressured to absolutely go into this one. And they most likely will have to deal with Herald in the meantime. So let's see if they put up a good contest here. There we have the Fork coming down from WSL. It's going to drop down the Herald, force a response from Pretender. But everyone is in position.
Yeah, this is smart. They're going to get Shelly to draw multiple members of Frank to deal with that over in mid. Meanwhile, Jewish team can get better positioning around the second dragon that has spawned. So they're already going to spread it up. And Frank Esports, they have 3 members over on red buff behind the dragon pit, but I don't really think they can contest this one. Jewish team did a smart thing. They pulled the dragon out just slightly out of the pit, just made sure that Frank Esports couldn't try and go for any type of steal over on the back. When you look at Frank Esports composition, also they've only really got like Talia that can try and contest, or maybe even like Jerry to try and steal it from the back, but it's also a bit short range. So well done to Jewish team. They did pick up the second dragon in a row. Also, Xiaotu earlier when he had to bring the flash versus Talia over in the mid lane. That's kind of the thing with the Gangplank versus Talia matchup, because sure, you can drop your ultimate down. It's good when you're getting ganked in that one versus like multiple person situation. However, Talia just has so much mobility that it's almost impossible to get out of that without the flash.
Here comes Pretender. Oh, what a cool flash away. Dodges from the Keeper's Verdict. Lakunai finding himself 1v2. He's got nowhere to go.
Pretender missed
right there.
So many skill shots. Yeah, he missed like his Qs, his Weaver's also was kind of a bit high, but they still managed to get that one though. We have Eminem. Looks like maybe getting dived over and bot. Nah, Jewish team, they're gonna back out. They're just gonna get a bit more tower plate gold. Should be able to pick up the second plate, no problem, before they lose their minion witness. So it's gonna be an extra 320 gold in the bag for Jewish team. Hollow is here though. Just get spotted out over in the tri-bush. And Jewish team, they're gonna back out. And that was such good timing. They managed to pick up 2 plates right before the 14-second mark. So they're just min-maxing their gold right now. That was really smart. I'm not sure if Frank knows that Enho and WSL are hiding there. Should know them, because I think that he saw them just walk into the bush and then disappear. So they're playing it smart as well. Hollow has backed, and the bot lane is going to do the same.
So you know, taking stock of the situation here, we actually have Jewish team coming up to an even larger lead because of the plates that they were able to sneak away right before the 14-minute mark, like we were mentioning. YSKM, though, is coming back into the lane with the plate of the Rune King. This one really changes that 1v1 matchup, as we can see him going up onto Lacuna, getting that 3rd hit proc off. The stun goes down, and oh boy, you can tell Lacuna is feeling the heat right here as he calls for help. And now WSL both here, but the slow isn't found by Lakunai. They might get a second chance just with the super going in. The first stun comes down. Cannon Barrage on top. WSL with the execution, and that's what you want to see out of this hard crowd control combo here. Jewish team in time just for a second Herald. They've been doing so well on these objectives.
Yeah, for Esports also a bit of a shame, because they pulled 4 members over towards the top side, but they weren't able to really try and contest Herald. And this is not the spot that he wants to be in.
Yeah, a bit of a weird position from Enhao. Actually gets knocked back by the Blast Cone, but here is Bang2. Just trying to ward everyone away. Pretender coming in, but not yet going with the seismic shove. Ooh, Lakunai with some good walk back, and everyone is going to be fine. So another pretty big win for Jewish team. They also get the bot lane tower in the meantime. So overall, you're seeing that gold slight to balloon. It's already up to about a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, Jewish team have really been playing this so well. We saw earlier that over in the top side, Wise came back into the lane with the Blade of the Rune King. Poppy was like immediately no, and they called for two members of their team. They were able to 3v1 the Irelia. They've been doing such a good job this game of just making sure that the Irelia gets as few kills as possible. The thing though is that Wise Game has actually managed to CS pretty darn well.
Hmm.
He's about 26 CS up off of the Poppy in lane, despite the fact that Jewish team have been calling multiple other members over in the top side to help out the Poppy versus the Irelia this time around. So it's definitely something that
What?
they will need to keep watching out for. Meanwhile, Eminem is trying his best to protect the mid tower, just clearing out the wave, waiting for the Yumi to come back after the lane swap, both bot laners from Frank as well as a Jewish team. Envil positioning just now kind of a bit suspect, but he is playing the Alistair. He's always going to be able to have the option of popping the ultimate and then walking out unscathed as that tanky Cal. He's going to clear the ward over there. Oh, wait, he didn't clear? Oh, he didn't see the ward. No.
It's one of those small ones on the enemy side, so I think getting out might have been his priority there.
Yeah, it's also 10 seconds to Nyx Dragon. Oh, the TP gonna come in.
And now going to start the fight onto the tunnel. Cannon barrage goes down, and they find the first kill right off the bat before the objective timers. Rank Esports, it just seems like they are getting caught off guard by this tempo type of composition. You don't see this type of hard crowd control chain that much in Season 12, especially after the durability patch, but it's definitely still lethal, as Jewish team are now going to move towards Infernal Soul. Rank Esports might have the scaling, but they might not have the time.
Yeah, it's starting to look a bit more dicey for Frank Esports. Jewish team do pick up the mid lane tier 1 on their way out. So already they've got 3 dragons as well as 2 towers up on Frank Esports. And we didn't mention this in the draft, but the thing for Frank Esports, despite the fact that they are 5th in the standings, right now they've won like 5 games more than Jewish team in the PCS so far. I'll take a look at the replay. There's a TP coming in from the Poppy. And just Jewish team able to chain CC so well, as you mentioned earlier. You can see the GP ultimate being put down right in the middle of that team fight. It really zoned out 2 members of Frank Esports, allowed Jewish team to just hone in on that one single kill. And that's pretty much the way that they've been playing this, right? Because they've been going for the Elise, have been trying to gank here and there. The thing about Jewish team is they're playing their composition very controlled, right? They get 1 kill, they back out. They get like 1 herald, they back out. If the gank doesn't work, they try to get an objective. If that doesn't work, like they're hightailing it out of there. They're just slowly trying to get these small leads, and so far it's worked for them. Right now, you can see them posturing for the second Rift Herald of the game once again before the 20-minute mark. So very smart play from them. And if you're talking about just Frank Esports, it's been one of the weaknesses of their play style, as we saw from them in the first round robin of the PCS, which is that for Frank Esports, sometimes they don't do all that much in the early game. So they can kind of come back towards the team fights. They can kind of go for the late game scaling when YSKM is on a carry top, when he's playing Kale, that sort of thing.
Pretender might be going down here and just sold by the Elise. Walked around the corner and kind of forgot about how much damage that champion can actually bring to the table. As so far, Frank Esports has not been able to find a single even numbers team fight. They just have shown no resistance to Jewish team and their relentless push on objectives. Neutrals have gone 5-0 in Jewish team's favor. They've got the 3 Graves, they've got the 2 Heralds, and I just feel like Frank Esports, they had this game plan. They were thinking about, oh, well, just take the Aurelia to late game, we take the Talia to late game, take the Zeri to late game, and we'll automatically win. But you still have to survive through early and mid. That's not what they've been able to do here.
Yeah, Pretender thought that I'm just completely underestimating the vision and the burst coming out from the Jewish squad gank. Right there, Frank Esports, they're just trying to clear out their jungle right now. They don't have push going on in any of their lanes whatsoever. It's trying to get a bit dangerous for them to really walk out of the lane into their own jungle.
And there's no one that can tank that burst combo. I think that's probably the scariest thing for Frank Esports. You just get hit by the cocoon. Alistar opens up on you with the flash combo, and you're dead. The cannon barrage can come halfway across the map. You have Elise that's super fed at this point, so it seems like Frank, they need to hold on. They want to hold on, but it will take quite a while here. Still probably banking on the Zeri, I would say.
That's the thing, right? Because you've got the Irelia, Talia, Jerry, as well as the Yumi, which are all very high mobility champions. The thing is, they're also pretty squishy. If you get caught out, you're not going to have time to make use of your mobility to get out of that gank. You pretty much get bursted and then you die. So I think it's a bit dangerous for them. We really need to kind of read Jewish team's next move to kind of guess where is going to be safe on the map. The good thing for them is that Jewish teams so far have really been telegraphing their next moves, right? Like pre 14 minutes, they're taking tower plates. 10 seconds before Dragon, they're setting up. They're going to TP towards mid. They're going to try and drop Shelly to try and get Cryo over the river. So in that sense, Frank Esports can kind of predict where their team is going to go. I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to adapt to it this fast.
Oh, and they're going to have to make a lot of choices here because the Jewish team have full vision control over up on the Baron, and they have that Infernal Soul coming up in for them. So another fork happening on the map here. Frank Esports, it's basically choose your adventure or pick your poison. Both do work here. Let's see which one they're going to go for. And then tagged down by the red buff. They're going to get out just okay. Frank Esports, I feel like they can make a stand, but they cannot go and face check on Jewish team's composition. That would be a very bad decision for them to make. So I feel like Frank Esports actually have to pick their spots first rather than hang around here. You're not going to be walking into an Alistar or an Elise. That's, I think that would be very bad.
The flank from WSL. She's just waiting to flash and cocoon over the wall.
The cocoon goes a little bit wide, but they do find the start of the fight onto Holo. Can Holo survive? Does get the suffocate down. And Lakunai will donate a lot of his resistances over to the troll. And we do have a bit of a fight reset right here. This is the first time that Frank Esports are coming in with even members right from top of an objective, but they have to go in. They cannot hand over this Infernal Soul and expect to win. Lakunai actually misses the ultimate, but they still get the Infernal Soul. Instant burst down, and that's WSL with 4 kills. Lakunai going in for more. The Krakama goes in for Pretender, manages to get out. Can Eminem find the return kill back? Xiaoju with the Prowler Claw gets bursted down as he steps on the seismic charge, and YSKM on the other side got nowhere to go. The 4-man squad hunt him down. Overall, Jewish team get those 2 kills, get the Infernal Soul. That's still a strong, strong win for our 9th place team.
Yeah, Jewish team, they're just playing everything right, just from the get-go. I'm a bit hesitant to say that, you know, they drafted great because it still looks like a bit of a mess. However, what they've drafted has worked out well from them. If this was exactly the plan they were going for, then absolute mad respect that they're making this work. But Frank Esports, you know, could have been a close team fight. I think if you watch closely at Eminem, he almost had a chance to clean up here with the Jewish team. They're going to go in, and Eminem actually deals an insane amount of damage over there. Just almost could have picked up the double kill off of both Poppy and the Alistar if Eminem had managed to do that. I think this fight would have gone really differently. YSKM, I think, kind of thought that the Jerry was going to pick up kills right there and was kind of like dove into the backline a bit too deep. So after it didn't go in their favor, it was kind of in a bit of an awkward spot. But Frank Esports, I mean, the gold lead is kind of getting a bit bigger and bigger against them. I don't think that they'll be able to try and pull off as close of a team fight the next time around.
Yeah, they definitely need that Infinity Edge on Eminem. He's getting really close to those breakpoints, but just not yet. And
yeah, I think the shield bow wasn't enough for that team fight also for his first item.
Yeah, I can kind of understand it just given the opposition that he's facing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
There's a lot of burst damage. I would definitely wouldn't fault him for that one, but he definitely needs to wait for the Infinity Edge to come in before that. I think this composition really gets online. It's way too much burst damage from Jewish team, and I think their composition does a lot better at holding terrain. There's no one to face check on Frank Esports. That's the biggest problem. There's no tank. Trundle's not tanky enough. And if you look at Aurelia, YSKM understands that he needs to be the one to put his face in the brush. So he's actually gone for a Sunfire as his mythic item. That's a pretty good read.
Yeah, went for the Sunfire. I think he went Rune King and then Steel Caps and then the Sunfire. The thing is, I'm not sure if all the members of Frank Esports are on the same page build-wise because you've got the Ludens for Talia first, but then you've got the Shield Bow and Sunfire for Irelia as well as Jerry. So I'm not too sure if like they're all on the same page in terms of when they want to fight. But it looks like Jewish team decided to not do the Baron. Actually, they did start it, but decided not to finish that one. Meanwhile, their mid-side tier 1 is still super healthy. Still about 2/3 health. I think Frank Esports have absolutely not been able to try and break that versus the Gangplank. Dushin look like they want to start a fight.
Might be trying his luck right here. Lakume gets the stun. In comes a Death's Daughter, and that's the first kill to round things off. You have Alstar in the backline, finds a knockup onto 2. Again, Samira with another kill. Bang2 charging forward, and that should be enough to turn around for the Baron. Eminem wants to get his save, but he gets bursted down by the barrels. That's where the Immortal Shield Bow does come in handy right there, as we saw the shield pop. Plus, basically all the shield value just evaporated in a single burst. Jewish team are going to start this one. Let's see if we have some surprise Ultra Shock lasers. Doesn't even look like Eminem is going to chance it, and oh boy, that's 7-0 in neutral objectives for Jewish team. They didn't find a single Baron in the first round robin, and now they're 7-0 up in objectives.
Yeah, they're playing this absolutely textbook. We're gonna take a look at this again. Eminem looks like he wants to go in for it. The fight, GP ultimate is going to come down to Bang2 picks up Hollow right there. Yumi ultimate not gonna do all that much, but just buy them a bit of time as they try to run away. And Eminem, I think, just getting very shocked by the amount of gameplay damage. Didn't quite see Xiao2 over around the side. I think wasn't expecting the barrel over from the sidewall. Right there was kind of a bit too aggressive on the turnaround, but as you mentioned, it does have the shield from the shield bow, so it doesn't go down, but I think it's just getting increasingly harder for Jerry to really try and make an impact during those fights. Jewish team do have the empowered minions right now. Well, I don't think they're going to be able to pick up this mid-side tier 2, but they have the split push going on with Xiao2, so they're making really good usage of this buff by just making sure they spread it into as many lanes as possible. We don't have the minion wave coming over in mid. They're going to just wait a bit for that one. WSL chunk down to less than half health already. Thinking about recalling. Has Splash Cocoon though. We'll see if they want to fight it. All 5 here to 5v3.
Yeah, let's see if they go in for this. Wazcam is going to have to lead the charge here. Holo tries to get a chomp down, and Xiao2 with 4 completed items gives them a welcoming present. Nearly kills 2 people by himself without even using a full rotation. That is what a full damage Gangplank looks like. That was absolutely disgusting what he just displayed right there. Able to hold the choke so incredibly well. And Frank Esports are forced to commit teleports to come back onto the map as Elder Dragon is up. Another fight about to start. YSKM on the front line. He's surviving for now. Can he get those resets? And How walks out with the ultimate. And WSL is in the air as he lands. Rush immediately into Zonius, but Bang2 goes in. He finds the kill on YSKM. He's gonna get the Infernal Trigger for more, and that's just so many resets going down. The team is wiped. Only Eminem and Yumi is left, but no, the Poppy finds the wall bang. The stun goes down. Triple kill to Bang2, and now Jewish team find the base wide open. They might be going for their second win right here. It's still 30 plus seconds on the entire bottom side of the map. Frank Esports, they were doing so good. They were in the 6-win club, excuse me, but they've been given a lesson by Jewish team. Never underestimate the Tempo team. Never underestimate the Samira and the Elise. Sure, you don't see them these days anymore, but they still pack the punch.
Hollow, first one out from the side of Frank Esports. Oh, they're gonna back out.
This could be a turning point because there's an Elder Dragon on the line here. If they cannot escape, Frank Esports could use this to just get a major objective. Cannon Barrage is used. Can they dissuade the chase? Holo's still going in with the flash, but he's not really that tanky. Bang2 stands his ground and shoots the troll down. That's the jungler gone from FAK Esports, and they might have gone just a little bit too far. They had to make use of that opportunity. Unfortunately, Bane 2 just had a better response right here. Eminem now with that Infinity Edge coming in.
So low.
He's still trying to find his way into the fight. Lacune pretty low HP, and Xiaotu might have been caught out on the top side right here. Keeper's Verdict actually sends Eminem back. That's the main damage dealer. Xiaotu does go down, but the Elder Dragon is still picked up here by FAK Esports, and then trying to do his best to keep someone here, but is unable to, and Duo's team snag up once again another neutral objective.
That was so risky for the squad of Duo's team. Pretty much, if they get Elder right there, the game is over for FAK Esports. I don't think FAK Esports are going to be able to win a team fight after they get Elder. But Duo's team, they managed to only lose Xiaotu. They had Xiaotu kind of buy time over around the side, while the rest of the members went for the Dragon right there. So it was really smart play from their side. They kind of recognized the fact that if they get Dragon, FAK Esports can't fight them anymore, and it's kind of the free end of the game for them. So they opted to get the buff onto 4 members of their squad instead. I'm not sure what FAK can do this time around, but super risky play from Duo's team right there when multiple members of their squad were low. So high risk, high reward. This time around, they're going to just be pushing straight through mid lane, and I don't think FAK Esports can stop this anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have the timing window to draw out the Elder Dragon. Duo's team are going to be coming in. They've got plenty of good hard engage right here. A Pretender using the Weaver's Wall. Can they find a chance for a burst down? Enhal's the only one tagged up, but he doesn't go into the enemy composition. The seismic shove, not able to get the full knockback here. And Xiaotu's coming in with those barrels. Once again, they're going to start out onto Hollow. He's really low. The cannon barrage comes down here. YS Cannon trying to go into the back line, not going to find the opportunity as the front line collapses. Beitu just going absolutely crazy here, and then does get him to drop into GA, but he's the only one left. Cleanses, trying to keep his Nexus alive, and no, Duo's team, the team that started 1-9 with a 0 wins so far in the first round robin. Actually, they did find the win against CCG. They are going to pick up their second. What a surprise turn of events. This is what I was saying in pregame. Do not count these guys out. The recency is fresh in our minds, and their last 2 games have been a statement to how far this team can go.
Yeah, Duo's, I mean, what a surprise performance from them this time around. They're trying really hard to make it into playoffs at the end of the second round robin. You know, if we follow the same format as we have in the previous seasons, then they just need to avoid ending up in tied 9th place, which they were before this match. And with this second win, I mean, this is exactly what they need to kind of build more momentum into the second round robin. We saw the player cams from the squad of FAK Esports. They all do it pretty bummed out. YS King not having the best performance this time around on Aurelia. I'm not sure what his KD was like at the end of that game, but I know before the second last team fight, it was like 1-5-2. So not the best performance from him. I think Duo's team did a very good job of constantly trying to keep Aurelia down. We're going to look at this replay over on one of the last fights. Yeah, I think this is the second last team fight. Yeah, before the push from... Yeah, and actually, FAK Esports, I wanted to point out, they actually, towards the end of the game in the last 2 or 3 team fights, they were playing the chain CC really well. Like, they were finally playing their composition the way that they were supposed to, which was they were chaining the Trundle Pillar into the knockout from Talia or into the stun from Yumi. It's just that it was a bit of a shame because it was kind of a bit late at that point, just because the goal difference was so big that even though FAK Esports were getting very good engages, they were getting very good combos, they just weren't able to clean up after that. We saw Eminem try his best with the Jerry, even though he was a couple of items down, almost made it happen a few times here and there. I think that's definitely going to be one of the weaknesses for Duo's team to look to clean up on moving forward. But I mean, what a win from them. I'm super happy.
I couldn't be more overjoyed, and I called it. I felt like Duo's team were definitely moving up the ladder here. I do want to go over the draft a little bit. There's a lot of special things. We saw a Prowler's Claw gameplay come out just to deal extra burst damage. It was very far ahead of the curve. And then we also had the Samira combo, the Alistar going up against Zeri that was winning right here. To me, I felt like Duo's team understood how Frank Esports play. They know that they're kind of this slow, grindy team that just hangs back and waits for their champions to naturally get ahead. And they countered that with a beautiful composition that was all about burst, was all about early mid-game objective control, and we just saw no answer from Frank Esports here.
Yeah, I love what they did, which was they recognized that Frank Esports don't know how to play the early game. Not that they don't know how to play the early game, they just haven't shown us that they like to play the early to mid game. So what DWT team decided, they were like, you know what, we're just gonna go for the snowball. We're gonna pick the Elise. We're gonna try and make stuff happen in the early game, and that was exactly what they did. And despite the fact that they went for this type of composition, I also want to point out that they did such a good job at playing it very measured and very controlled. So like anytime they had the Elise, like with some questionable positioning over in the river, kind of diving it too deep, having to burn flash literally twice the second she had it back up. But DWT team, recognized that, and they didn't push too much. They kind of pushed with the tools that they had, whatever small advantages they got, they just went to go for that very small snowball, and it worked out in the end. So very well done for them. As you can see the damage graph, really a bit of a shame for Eminem, who's trying super hard to hard carry on the Jerry right there. 27k damage, highest out of the entire 10 players for this game. Meanwhile, as we're talking about, why is KM, on the Irelia just not having as much of an impact that Frank Esports would like? Like on paper, when you look at the Frank Esports composition, they have the Irelia and the Trundle, right? So they're very clearly, and the Talia as well. So they're very clearly like trying to get that lead kind of around like mid-game-ish, and then carry that into letting the Jerry farm and letting the Jerry carry in the late game. However, I think DWT team was just able to catch Frank Esports off guard so early that Frank just didn't expect that.
Yeah, and then a lot of it just came down to good objective play as well. If you told me that WSL would be doing this much damage when he burned his first 2 flashes just to run away from the enemy jungle, I would be telling you that that's a joke. That's impossible. But WSL made it happen. The most important thing for me is just objective time. They were always on the objective first, and whenever someone needed a face check on the side of Frank Esports, they just instantly bursted them down. They forced the Aurelia to move away from a fighter itemization and build Sunfire. That was such a smart move. Congratulations to WSL. Perfect KDA game, and maybe this is why they picked him up. We had a huge ton of doubts of like, who's WSL? Where does he come from? Why are you picking up another kind of random player coming in from not even the LDL? So I guess we got our answer.
Yeah, and he had his kill participation was at 88.2% at the end of that game, so not just a perfect KDA, but also such a high kill percentage as a jungler just really means that you're making such an impact for all your other lanes as well. So very well done. Kind of a bit of a, as you just saw in Twitch chat, bit of a 5-hit draft coming out from the squad of DWT team. I really don't think that Frank Esports or any of us thought that that was what was going to happen, but they made it work.
A lot of surprises to be had from DWT team. I personally think that DWT team is going to overtake the guys like Impunity and MetaFalcon team, but we have to wait and see as we go into a break. After we come back, it's going to be CFO versus MetaFalcon team that we just mentioned coming up in Game 2.